And welcome everybody again. It's lovely to see you all. I'm so pleased you've joined us. Today I've got Nadine Searle from The Calmer Self, and I'm excited as usual because I get total thrill from talking to people. And I've been wanting to talk to Nadine for quite a while. She's had quite a long and involved journey that I think a lot of us can relate to. And I'm going to begin by welcoming you, Nadine, and asking you, how did you start your business and what do you do for people? How do you help people?
Well, hello, Victoria. And yes, I'm excited too. My business is Calm Myself, but I've got to say right from the start, I'm not always calm. I am excited at the moment, but calmness is always there. So that is my business. That is what I do. And yeah, I'm so pleased to be chatting to you about this because it is
Lovely.
better.
Yeah,
And
lovely.
when we first connected, which was quite a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
You were very similar, weren't you, with your beautiful calmness and everything? And you reached out to me, and we connected, and we've had that kind of little friendship ever since, haven't we? I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Calm
Well,
myself.
I think it's very important that no matter what field of expertise you're in, that you connect with other people because not everybody wants to work with me. They come to me and then they decide they don't want to work with me, or something's not quite right, or a location. And it's nice to be able to refer people.
Yeah,
But that's it's also that we learn from each other. So
we,
how do you approach your work then?
yeah.
Where was your starting point?
Yeah, I started off being not calm at all. I was busy, busy. I was in London. I was living a 24/7 lifestyle and wasn't looking after myself. I didn't know how to look after myself. And I just worked and worked and worked. And I realized, well, my body and my mind told me that I wasn't looking after myself properly. I got ill. I just, everything was going wrong. My sanity was in question. And something told me I need to look at my life and do something differently. So I gradually started to try and address this. I was very resistant to change. I was loving my life and thought I could carry on forever, thought I was invincible. But I did know that I needed to start looking after myself. So it was a long, slow process for me, actually decades of working on myself, getting my mindset in the right place, learning how to get back a little bit, which wasn't easy for me at all. I was one of those people who actually thought if I take a break, the world will stop. The world cannot cope without me. So, and people can probably, like you say, relate to that. But I can tell you it's okay, you can stop. But I learned, as I say, long and slow, things like the first thing I did actually that gave me a bit of peace and calm was Qigong, which is a form
Okay.
of Tai Chi, a gentle form of Tai Chi. And it was that little bit of peace and stillness that then started to become quite attractive to me. Then I went into mindfulness and meditation, Reiki, healing, all kinds of things. I was having therapy, talking therapy as well, and energy work opened up to me. And I stepped into all of that for myself. And then getting to know that I could actually do that for myself and I needed it so much. You know what it's like, Victoria, you attract, people ask you, you attract people.
Yeah.
People were going, oh, you're doing something different. Can you help me? That kind of thing. So I did start to then share what I was doing. I'm very much one of those people when I've learned something and it's working for me, or I'm excited about it, I want to share. And naturally, that is how my business came about. I'd done it for myself, as I say, long, long, slow process. And then I started to do it for other people. Various jobs that I was doing, I kept getting stressed out, and I gradually sort of learned, as I say, to look after myself better. And then it seemed a natural evolution to help other people with that. So that's how my Calmer Self business came about, to helping other people.
Yeah, and that's commendable because it's not easy to help other people, especially if they're resistant and they think they want to change, but they don't really want to do the work. And also, it's in a way, other people can be quite draining at times, and it's about self-care again. So that must have taught you again to consider yourself in that mode as helper, teacher, giver. How did you
Yeah.
find that aspect of it? Did you find you get drained at times, or did you did?
That,
Hmm.
that, that is such an interesting question. And you're absolutely right, because it is. you're probably the same. I'm one of life's givers. You know, we give, give, give. You know, I'm a people pleaser at heart, that kind of thing. And I don't always remember to put myself first. But the beauty about living this lifestyle now with my business as part of it is that I'm being held accountable. I've got to look after me, because actually that's where it's at. I tell people all the time to do that. And so it reminds me to do it. So I'm not going to fall back into those old ways because of the lifestyle that I have now. So that is a wonderful way to be. And you're right, to be remembering, you know, look after number one first. I say it to people all the time. And it is so important, isn't it, that we need to do that. So my self-care is part of my day-to-day life and my business, and that makes it easier for me. But I also have this lovely network of people around me that support me. You know, I will go to other therapists and I will get relaxation myself, and I'll get all what I need because I've learned how to. I've learned what I need, and I've learned what I need to enjoy as well in life. So I factor that in my day to day. And part of what I teach people when I work with clients is that life work balance. You know, it's so hard, isn't it, to get that right? So many people work too hard. And to get that balance and find that you can fit it in. You know, lots of people say about meditation, and you've probably heard this a lot. Oh, I can't do it. I haven't got time, that kind of thing. But the amazing thing is that when you start to do it, it's almost like you magic more time in your life. You find that there is more, you know, you can actually sort of mold time to fit in with you. And people don't believe that until they try it, but it really does work. So we can find the time for doing what we want to do. It's just actually managing how you do that.
And you mentioned their network of other healers and therapists, etc. It is important, isn't it, that we whatever field we're working in, we're working with like-minded people to support us. And I know that there have been times when I felt quite lonely and isolated because I felt quite different from the people I was working my career with. For example, I was a teacher. Even though people often went to therapists or went for massage and went for Reiki, etc., they wouldn't understand what it's like to be in that teacher mode, in that giving mode, what it's like to be the person, the go-to person. And so a network of support is important, isn't it?
Yes, it's so important. And you're right, it is experiencing things for yourself as well. You know, it's like I do Reiki healing. I love to receive Reiki healing as well, you know, and it opens that up for me. It's I'm learning all the time still as well, you know, that that's what maybe it feels like for someone I worked with recently when
Yes.
I'm going through something myself. So that, I think, it sort of humbles you in a way, doesn't it, and keeps you on that level that you need to be.
How did this just how else has this supported you in your if you've got a business and you're working that way with people and you've moved on, how does that manifest now? What's changed for you?
Well, recently I've had massive changes in my life, and I had, at the end of 2022, I had a cancer diagnosis, and it rocked my world, as you can imagine. You know, those words, that kind of thing. You know, what we're going to do. But I am so grateful that I had my Calmer Self method. What I teach is a method. It's a 6-step program and everything. I had it in the bag. I had it in my toolbox. And I have lent so heavily into that as I've been going through my treatment plan and as I've been going through the life changes that come with cancer. And it's really, really helped me. And again, what it's done is it's made me realise, it can sound a bit big-headed, but how good it all is. You know, it really does work. I put it to the massive test. It all works. So I'm now coming to the other side of that. I've been a couple of years in treatment, and it's all good. And I'm now looking at my business with new eyes. And really, my passion now is to help people with a cancer diagnosis, because I've got experience. I feel I'm not an expert. I'm not medical profession. Medical side does their bit perfectly, but I can support the emotional side. And I really, really want to. That fear that I felt, I went through fear, you know, massively. And I think everybody does, facing my own mortality, you know, the word cancer, chemotherapy, surgery, you know, radiotherapy. And I'm not scared anymore. I'm not scared of those things. And I want to give that to other people. That is now my passion. To use all that I've used before. As I say, my Calmer Self method hasn't changed, but I can give it another direction, if you like, and I can see a whole new lot of people that I really, really want to help connect with. So that's my personal evolution, but it obviously it has that it's part of my business life too, because that's what I want to be doing. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, you've got that authenticity because it's something you've experienced, and I think sometimes that's why we experience things, so we have that reference, and life does channel us into certain directions at times, doesn't it? But I always believe that there is an innate path within us that's we have a talent for, we have a skill for, we have a passion for, right from birth and from childhood. But I do agree that when we come through these traumas in life, whenever they occur, that there is always a diamond at the core of it. There is something there which then releases something in us. And when we're authentic like that, we can really help people because you can understand so much more than just a clinician or a medical person. You've been working in your business for quite a while. Are you in the process of developing new clients and new kind of clientele, or marketing your business? I know marketing's not a popular word, but promoting.
No, I'm more than happy with the word marketing. I used to be in sales. That was one of my past lives. But yes, I am actively promoting it now. I've had a bit more energy back, and I really want to share this with people. And so it is looking at that new audience, if you like, where to talk to people, how to get, how the people that need me will find me. That's my
yes,
belief.
yes.
And I do believe that the right people will find me, because that's how the universe works. But
people always find you.
They do. And it's, I look back to my business before, and people that were coming to me were people that you said earlier, people don't always ask for help. People don't always realize they need help when they're stressed. People would come to me when they were hit crisis points, and that's the pain point, and really a lot of them, looking back, were, it was health issues, it was worries, it was going through operations and things like that. Quite a lot of people came to me when they'd lost a loved one, quite often through cancer, and they weren't coping. So I did extra training in grief counselling so that I can help them as well, because it is all sadness and loss. Even with myself, the cancer, it's loss and sadness and adjusting and that kind of thing. So you're absolutely right. I am empathetic. People say that about me. Clients always say to me, "Oh, you're a good listener," and that's a big skill, isn't it? I'm really grateful that people recognise that. And I can tailor my calmer self method, as I say, to the individual, to pick out what they really need and how
that's
they
so important.
It is, isn't it? Because it is a method, but everybody's individual.
But I have met people who have a method. They put all their energy into creating this method, this little technique or whatever, and they stick to that and say it will work. And of course the match isn't always there. So I appreciate what you're saying there as well. The other thing is that when you're looking for a new audience and they're coming through something which is a life and death situation, I know that, if, for example, in my situation, I've come across suicidal people, people with mental health problems, serious mental health problems, and they're looking for techniques to calm themselves, etc. But it's not necessarily a given that there's such an acute life and death possibility, shall we say. Whereas when you're dealing with cancer, people come face to face with, this could kill me, this could be the end, this could devastate my family, this could do, it's a slightly different type of person that you're dealing with, and those peers are quite often unconscious, and as you say, they come when the crisis is too far gone, or it's trying to catch people earlier, isn't it? And I think that's probably what you've done before. You've managed.
I've always said that I would love what I do to be preventative, rather than cure as such. But I do realise that it's not human nature to reach out until you are in pain, until you are at crisis. But you're absolutely right. I was like that. I didn't ask for help until I was desperate, and I was, as I say, very resistant. So I can really relate to people that go, "Oh, I know I need help," but you can't tell people, can you? They have to find you. They have to come to you when they're ready. But you're right, parts of my message, some people don't necessarily need, so I'll give them more of something else or whatever. So it is looking at the individual needs and where they're at. Like you say, some people will come to me right early days of their stress, and anxiety, but some people, they are at a point, and health sometimes is the reason why they come. But with the cancer diagnosis, you're absolutely right. You know, that I defy anyone to go hear the word cancer and not think about death, because that's where my mind went straight to. That's it, I'm going to die, you know. And then adjusting to that, you know, and feeling that, okay, that's the reality. The honest truth is it's the reality for every one of us, but we don't have to face it, do we? But there's some peace and calm to be found in actually getting that message. So again, I'm quite grateful that I've got that message in quite a way
Yes.
I wouldn't have chosen, but I've got it. And I go, okay, now I can move on, put that in its place and
Yeah.
move on and
No,
get on with
I
the joy
understand.
in life. Like, it's almost like I've had a second chance at life, and I love that.
Mm.
So feeling that, and this is what I want for people, is to stress, anxiety, panic, fear, all part of life. We need it. It saves lives, you know, it keeps us safe, doesn't it? You know that. Um, but having it in its place, you know, and being able to put it away and come back to some peace and calm when we need it. Because again, when we are relaxed, when we are at peace, we are healing as well. When we're stressed, we're not healing.
I
So
think also you probably found this yourself. I know that I use my techniques when I'm going to the dentist or I'm
yeah,
having any treatments all the way through my life, because I learned skills and techniques very early on. And it's been very, very helpful. And that's why I like people to master them, because when they're ingrained or you're used to practicing these things, it can help you go through the simplest of treatments or investigative circumstances, you know, and I think I do believe it aids recovery and gives you more better sleep, etc. I think that's a very big thing with people, the fear of treatment and not going, or the fear of another session, you know,
yes,
and all
yes,
this, it can be accumulative.
yes,
But I also want to touch on this bereavement counselling, because I did go through a bereavement quite young, and I studied bereavement counselling in life after death and dying and everything aspect of death that you could come across, and it was it's enabled me to be able to talk to people about the realities of the practical side of
yes.
organising your affairs,
Mm,
to dealing with the possibility of a loved one passing or yourself passing, or and it's heartbreaking. It's very difficult. I've never shied away from it, but I know that a lot of people, a lot of therapists do quite commonly and quite normally don't want to deal with things where the outcome might not be good.
yes,
How have you prepared yourself for these
yeah.
situations?
You're absolutely right. As I say, I looked into more training for myself when clients were coming to me after a death. And I thought, this is something, you know, this is something, if you like to go, let's look in this. And facing my own fears of that, you know, before I had the cancer diagnosis, that was really valuable. And one of the first things I learned when I was being trained myself was that loss and death comes all through our lives. You know, when we change schools, when we change things, when we leave home and that kind of thing, we are going through a loss and a sadness and grief. And actually, it was pointed out to us that we coped with that quite well. So that sort of almost normalizes it a little bit. I was really glad to hear it that way, and it really clicked with me, that we go through it all the time. And we can, and like you say, we can learn how to manage it. We can actually make it less painful.
Mm,
And those are skills that, you know, I was so glad to learn that I can again pass on to other people, because it's going to come to everyone, isn't it? In some shape or form. There's
mm,
change, there's loss. You know, I went through sadness and loss when I lost my hair through chemotherapy. You know,
yes,
that was really sad. That was a loss and kind of thing. So knowing that you can come through that is empowering. And again, and you've obviously been through that. That's
yeah.
something that I really want to help. And like you said earlier about education, I was 13 years as a nursery school teacher. And I was using, at that time, I was starting to learn little techniques for myself, my personal learning. And I would share them with the children when they were frustrated and upset and everything, and do some breathing techniques and simple things. And it was lovely to do that. And if I had my way, it would all be on the curriculum.
Oh, yes.
We would
Mm,
learn all of these things as very
de-
young as we can, so that we've got them. Like you say, you learnt them early. I learnt them not so early, but I've learnt them, because when they're there, as I say, that toolbox of coping strategies, we've
mm,
got them for whatever we need, and that does make life easier, doesn't it? You know, and we don't worry so much, and we don't have that, as I say, I'll come back to that word fear, because
Yeah.
that's one of the most horrible places to be, isn't it? In fear.
Well,
And
the other aspect of growing up is the fear of letting go of childhood and entering adulthood. And I've got grandchildren who are in their teens, and it brings back my memories of life and death and all the serious questions that you have, and where's your place in this, and not feeling ready for life, but wanting to get out there, but being terrified and scared and anxious, and not being able to tell your parents because they're taboo. You know, it's kind of like the whole issue of mental health with children and young people has come to the fore. And I think the work that you do as well, though you're focusing on cancer now, I think the work you've done in the past and people like us who work on those levels are invaluable, because those I have taught my grandchildren those skills, and my children have taught those grandchildren those skills. And it's something we all fall back on, that we all know that we have this toolkit, as you say, that other people don't have. And it's sharing that with young as possible. It becomes natural to them.
It is, isn't it? Skills for life, isn't it? And it is. I did years ago, a long time ago, in my business, I was asked by a local school to help with exam stress, and I'm very happy to do that. I did 12 weeks with a group. It was a girls' school, and they picked the group of girls that needed exam stress. And what I found in these 12 weeks with these girls was that actually it wasn't the exams that they were most worried about. There was lots going on. Like you say, it's hard being a teenager. You know, these were 15-year-old girls. And once they got comfortable with me, as I say, I was lucky enough to have 12 weeks with them. They opened up about everything, and I could teach them. No, it wasn't just about exams. It was actually about, like I say, life skills and how you cope with getting to sleep at night and worrying about boys and all sorts of things, you know. And it was a joy for me to work with them, as I say, for that period of time, and step into that, reminding me what it was like being a teenager. You know, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But how tough it is, and it is very stressful, isn't it? And how we get through that. So that was a real experience for me. And I learned so much from them. It was wonderful.
So you've got a lot of experience, and you've covered a wide range of ways, I suppose, because it's a life skill that you're dealing with, the calmer self, approaching life, the way you approach normal stress driving to serious stress. Then you are really a woman of empowerment, aren't you? How does that make you feel? What reward do you get from all your work that you do?
Yeah, I just got it just then. I got chills when you said you're a woman of empowerment. So thank you so much for that. That's my reward. When I see the change in people, and my little tagline of my business is transformation through relaxation, I actually see that in people. I see real change. And I feel so happy for people when I can see they go, oh, I did that. They'll ring me up, you know, clients of mine will ring me up years later and go, oh, I did what you said and it worked. And that's the joy. That's the reward. I can see people changing. I can see their confidence build, you know, because that's really big, isn't it? You know, get rid of that stress and the confidence builds. And then I just go, yeah, you know, I feel it's almost like my calling, if you like. It sounds quite grand, but, you know, this is what I'm put here for, maybe. Like you say, when we go through things with my cancer, I questioned that and I go, yeah, that was meant to be. I was meant to go through that experience. And now I can see I can use that to help others. And I really feel that big time. You know, I've gone through everything I've gone through. Like, as I say, I wasn't calm. I was very stressed. I wasn't looking after myself. I've learnt, and now I can pass that on to other people. And I always say, it's quite cliche, but I say I learnt the hard way, so you don't have to. So I can make it quicker and simpler for other people, and that's a joy. That's reward for me.
Yeah, that's lovely. I can understand that. Appreciate that muchly. And so thank you for sharing that with us today. We'll leave on that light note, because obviously we've touched on some very serious subjects here.
We have.
I will say that you're looking very well, and you have a lovely calm nature, and I'm sure your clients really get the full benefit as long as they engage with you and put themselves in your hands to learn and to receive. I'm sure, you know, you're doing great job, and there's a lot of benefit to be received. Life changing.
It is life changing. And can I just offer a little something for people that are listening or watching to this, something so they can have a taste of a bit of calm? Is that okay? I have it's about a 10-minute little guided meditation recording that I'd like to gift to anyone who would like it. They just need to get in touch with me, and I know you'll put all the details, won't you, in the description for this. But it's just a little taster. It's a very quick and simple way to get out of your head into some peace and calm, and I call it my 6 steps to serenity.
Oh,
it's all about the 6 steps with me, but I'd like to gift that to anyone that would like it.
Lovely, thank you, that's really lovely. So what's your website address? How do people contact you? What's your email address?
Yes, the best way to contact me is just Calm Myself, which is Calmer, CALMER, if anyone's listening. Calm Myself in everything, my website, my YouTube channel, there's tons on there. There's meditations on there. There's interviews like this, so people can find out more about why I'm doing what I'm doing. But also there is a Facebook free group. It's called the Calm Myself Cafe. I'd welcome anyone to join that, because I put lots of resources in there as well, and we can share how we feel as well in there. So that's something I'd like, but it's all Calm Myself, so just look for me all over the place. And again, we'll probably put that in the description, won't we, Sophie?
Oh yes, yes. Oh, thank you so much for that. Yes, it will all be in the descriptor, and you can contact Nadine on the Calm Self or calmself.com. I'm thrilled, and I'm sure she's given us lots of food for thought. And if you have any questions, if it's touched or triggered anything in you, then please don't deal with it alone. Come and talk to us. And if you want to talk to me, I'm fine. And obviously you've met Nadine now, so contact her. And I'll just say goodbye to everybody then. Thank you, Nadine.
Thank you so much, Victoria.
Bye-bye, everyone.